For some of you who may have just joined and walked in, if you didn't get to make it to the earlier sessions, my name's July Danley, blessed to serve as the President and CEO of the Stephenville Chamber of Commerce, and we're so excited to be hosting this Governor's Small Business Summit with Tarleton State University, with the Texas Workforce Commission, with the Governor's Office of Texas Economic Development. And for those, if you did miss one of the earlier sessions or there was info that you wanted to go back and listen to, they are videoing them, and they will be up in a couple of weeks on the Texas Economic Development YouTube channel. And so there are also all of the other sessions that they've had across the state, from Abilene to San Angelo, and all the other sessions. There's YouTube videos of the different panelists. So if you can't sleep sometime, or if you're just looking for some inspiration and wanting to go hear from some experts in different areas, we'll share that link on the Chamber social media as well for the YouTube channel for Texas Economic Development to be able to go back and listen and or find things that you missed. But marketing and social media, what a huge topic that can be all over the place, but marketing is so huge for businesses being successful. They have to somehow let their customers know about the products and services that they have. But where do they start? There's just so many communication avenue options out there. So looking forward to having a little bit of conversation about what the trends are and what some programs are that are being successful, especially for local businesses. And to moderate this session, we have Bill Leaverton, who has had businesses himself, who's worked with the Small Business Development Center and is currently an instructor of management in the College of Business, and appreciate all of the collaborations. When Phaedra talked about convening partners, Bill and I have done that a lot on a lot of different projects and appreciate his vision for that. So Bill, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Thank you for taking time today.
Thanks, July. Can you guys hear me? Good morning, everybody. So my name is Bill Leaverton, as July said, and I wanted to take a quick moment to just kind of reiterate what July said in the very beginning in opening remarks, and that is that, first of all, there's only 13, I believe, summits that are held around the state of Texas by the governor's office, so it's a big deal and a big coup for them to have come here. So the governor's office over in the corner, Jarrod Brewer and his team chose us and chose Tarleton to come to. So if you get a chance to thank them, please do, because it's a big deal that they came. They could have chosen, obviously, one of the other thousands of cities that are across our state, the state of Texas. And the second thing is that small business is a big deal in this area. And that's evidenced by the support and the resources that are here. Just to name a few of the people that are here, the Associate State Director for the SBDC came all the way from Lubbock. We have the actual District Director for the SBA here. And you heard from Ms. Phaedra earlier, she is even here. So there are a lot of people here who recognize the importance of small business and its impact in Tarleton and in Stephenville in particular. So it's a big deal. So thank you guys all for coming out to support this, and I hope that you get some great information from this. I don't tend to have too scripted of an idea when I do these kinds of things, so bear with us if we get off topic a little bit. So first, let me introduce everybody. The first person here to my left is Mr. Jarrod Brown. He owns Brownie Bite Productions, and Jarrod's whole idea is to bring your idea to life through video and through a narrative of video, and he does a great job of that. And if you guys ever get a chance to go on YouTube or on whatever social media you want to look up, Brownie Bite Productions is all over the place. It seems there are a lot on my feed lately anyway. The next is Laura Henson. Laura is a local girl. She got both of her degrees, BS and MS, from here at Tarleton, and she owns Laura Henson Designs. And basically, it's a one-stop shop for all of your multimedia needs. And she is the marketing guru. And she also teaches adjunctly here at Tarleton as well. And then lastly, we have Mr. Nate Bural, last but not least. He is the Associate Vice President here at Tarleton for Marketing Communications. Nate's claim to fame is taking the sports and marketing area here at Tarleton from one Facebook page with 300 followers up to 40 accounts with over 300,000 followers. So he's definitely made some improvements and strides, and I would definitely say put Tarleton's social media on the map. It used to be, I think it was, we had the still picture or the stick figure. Now we have the motion picture. So we've made some big strides there. So Anyway, so I guess my first question to you guys, and no one in particular, is, as someone who grew up not a native of internet and electronics, yes, that makes me old, I know, but so we had to learn this kind of stuff, right? We had to learn what it is, and to us, it seems more of a, to me, it's, at least in the beginning, seemed kind of a nuisance, right? You're like, oh, there's one more thing. Geez, I've got payroll to deal with, I got this to deal with, now I've got this social media thing to deal with. What is this? Because we're used to print advertising, radio advertising, billboard advertising, that kind of thing. And so I look at social media and I see, okay, is there a strategy to it? Because it seems like that the more followers I have, the more sales I get. And my question to you is that true? Or is it more along the lines that, look, there's actually a strategy to this, and if you follow it, that equals some success? Do you find that? Do you think that's true?
Oh, how much time do we have? Hey, the marketers are here, so we're going off script for sure. Yes, is there a strategy to it? Yes, it depends how far down that road you want to go and how much money you want to spend to talk about how much strategy it takes to target the exact person that is perfect for your brand. But in a general sense, yes, like you mentioned before, there are multiple different avenues that you can market in. I mean, there used to be word of mouth back in the old days. That's how we passed on our stories, because that's really what this is all about, is you're telling your brand's story. And you're going to pass it on from person to person, from grandfather to, on down the chain. And eventually we get into radio or written word, and then into radio, and then into television. Well, today, and I'm going to go ahead and hop on early and say, it is the day of video. And so since it is the day of video, and you're on, or your kids are on, or whatever, you can fight it all day long. I was just talking with some of you guys earlier. I fought this whole social media marketing, everything like that, up until the cows came home, until I saw my grandmother on Facebook talking to her grandkids visually. She was on like a FaceTime Messenger type thing, hybrid type deal, and it was like, what just happened to my world? If grandma can do it, we can all do it. Anyway, is there a strategy though? Yes, there is a strategy. Is one medium better than the other? Yes, there are times and realms for that, but something, as far as a strategy, is better than nothing. And if I'm here today, I was telling Miss July when she said, "Would you like to be a part of the panel?" Absolutely. You're going to hear me cheerlead that you need to be out there, because the message today from at least this guy is going to be: you have a story, your brand has a story, and that story matters. And how you tell that strategically across multiple different platforms, that matters as well. And that is a conversation that's huge in depth, but do you guys want to add to that? You want to dive down one of those roads?
Yeah, Nate, you definitely would have something to add to that, just because of the idea of your increase in growth.
Sure. I think as far as the strategy goes on social media, it's obviously going to be important to understand your audience for each one of those platforms. Every social media platform will have its own unique strategy to it, and being able to understand who you're talking to through that platform is going to be key. Understanding who the audience is that lives on Facebook. Like Jarrod said, if grandma's on Facebook, we're talking to grandma on Facebook. We're probably not talking to grandma on Instagram. Understanding your audience from each channel. Understanding that LinkedIn has a specific, clientele different from Instagram. Utilizing the short form videos on Instagram more so than on Facebook, right? Twitter is kind of a collection of all of these strategies, because you're going to get a wider range on Twitter. So I think I would just to kind of piggyback off that, and as far as the strategy goes, knowing your audience through each channel is going to be the biggest takeaway that I would recommend. Laura?
No, I agree with that. So my experience comes a lot from agriculture and production agriculture, and we get preached to us, and I turn around and preach to them that idea of telling your story. And ag producers, we hear that more than we ever want to hear it. But we've had to learn too in that industry of that same thing of what audience is is engaging with you in which platform and how to engage with that. Knowing, from an agriculture perspective, that most of the time we're trying to engage with people who are not involved in agriculture, and learning how to use those platforms strategically to our advantage to help tell that story to people that aren't every day involved in it. Because you're going to do the same thing with your business. You're trying to tell your story to people that probably have no idea how your business and your industry operates. And the more personable you can be with those audiences based on whatever that social media platform is, the more successful you're going to be in that.
Makes sense. So Nate, let me ask you this question. So Jarrod was talking earlier about, and he does video, that's his thing. So why is video such a big deal? I mean, what makes it so great?
It's engaging, right? It's quick, it's fast paced, and in today's world, people want quick. They want to see it, soak it in, and move on to the next thing. We all have busy schedules. They don't want to spend time reading a bunch of information on a small graphic. I found that some people still don't realize that you can double click in to zoom it in. There are certain things that you want to make it as easy as possible. You want to capture their attention without having to get too into the details on how to do it. Video does that. You're basically putting the message out there in quick motion form and allowing them to soak in that knowledge quickly. And if the video's good, they'll be engaged. They'll watch it all the way through. If they're not, they're probably still going to watch it because they're interested in it. Whereas a graphic, if the still graphic, the visuals are not there, they're just going to scroll right past it, right?
That's the whole game, really.
Right.
If you can get, what he's talking about is if you can get a person to stop the scroll. So every 1 in 4 ads on Facebook, we'll just say, is going to be, or every 1 in 4 posts on Facebook is going to be an advertisement. And so if you can get your client to resonate with your brand immediately and stop that scroll, especially in video, then they're going to have them for a while. They're going to camp out. And if they stay for a certain amount of time, not to dive into the weeds here, but if they stay for a certain amount of time, then Facebook will recommend, we'll just use Facebook as the example, will recommend your content more often to those folks who are consuming that stuff. So you have a higher likelihood of what we call organically popping up in their feeds if Facebook deemed that they liked your video. And in video, why it's king is if you can stop the scroll and get them to stop, and they're mesmerized by that video for a handful of seconds, we're talking seconds, attention span these days, then you are going to win their attention more often and have a second shot at marketing to them.
Well, do you think there's such a thing as too much content? Can you over-inundate, if you will?
Absolutely. I know Jarrod says we're asking the wrong people. I believe that wholeheartedly. So working in athletics, I would tell my team there is too much athletic content. I'll use an example from football. I guess it was about 2014, 2015, we really started to amp up our video highlights at Tarleton Sports. We wanted, especially being in Stephenville, being Division II, at the time, we were going to places like Portales, New Mexico, where, a lot of people couldn't just drop what they were doing and travel to watch the game, but they wanted to visually see the good plays that were happening. And so we made a concerted effort to really amp up our video game. But at what point was just a simple pass too much video, right? It was just a basic, throw from the quarterback, caught by the receiver for a first down. That's too much, because at that point you're going to flood your customer's timeline, and you're going to get to the point where they're just going to scroll past you because they don't trust your content. If you have really high quality content and you're strategic about when you put it out there for the public to see, they're more likely to stop because they're going to see it. Oh, they don't just post every 15 minutes. I want to see what this company has to say to me. And they're going to be more likely to connect with you.
No, I agree. We all have that friend on Facebook that they post all day and they have a full-time job, and we really question how they get all that done. And we create that same thing with businesses too, and we can over-inundate people. And yes, make people start to question what's going on that you have so much content and you're overwhelming me with content. I have unfollowed people myself on Facebook and unfollowed businesses and ignored businesses because I felt inundated with their content. And so, yeah, I think there's a line where there is too much is too much.
It's a good point. And think about that you could just ignore somebody or unfollow them just because you're sick of looking at their whatevers, right? Well, the next question, I guess, then is, so we have all these platforms, there's all these different ideas out there. So why are they all created? It would seem like one size would fit all, right? So I guess the question would be is, what do they all, not specifically do, but why do we have so many, and where is there an end to that? Will it ever end? Will we keep getting Twitter 2.0 and Facebook 2.0? I mean, geez.
I think as long as there's capitalism, we're going to continue to make and create new avenues to market our things. However, I think somebody made the recommendation, whether it was Jeff or something, said we all have kids and they're all different ages and personality types and yada yada yada. And from my perspective, and if you guys disagree, go ahead and say so. We age out of said places. If Grandpa goes to the coffee shop in the morning, he's going to be hanging out around his friends, sharing his stories, talking about what's cool, talking about how the cows were getting taken care of, whether we had rain, whether we didn't have rain. All that stuff is not necessarily interesting to the grandkid who got drug along the way. He's ready for something else. He needs some more faster-paced stimulation to keep him entertained. And so you'll see those pockets develop whenever the new thing, which right now is what, TikTok, what do we call it? TikTok, that's where you're going to find your youngest demographic. And as they age up, their kids will find somewhere else to go because you don't want to be on the same spot with mom and dad. And those things tend to naturally happen.
And we've seen that transition in the classroom at Tarleton too. When I started teaching 8 years ago, we came in and everybody had a Facebook, and then we've transitioned to everybody has an Instagram. And I have students now that aren't on social media at all. They only have a TikTok. They only have an Instagram. It is not a one size fits all anymore. And people are a lot more specific when we think back to us talking about marketing to the audience on that platform. People are really specific in how they want to consume that content, and they pick their platform based on how they want to do that.
You don't want to be on grandma's page is what you're saying.
That's right.
You see why my 17-year-old refuses to get on Facebook, because my wife's all over Facebook, so he's not going to do that.
Mama will be watching.
The problem is, though, how much money does a 17 and under kid have to spend in your business? Is that your target audience? So you might not want to be everywhere in the sense of you're not on TikTok if your business does not target to that demographic. But maybe it does rest a little better in Facebook or Instagram.
That seems to all make sense. I mean, first, whenever you have so many of these platforms come out, you don't even know whether to subscribe to them all. And obviously, I don't. But like my 17-year-old, he doesn't either. As a matter of fact, I think he's only on 2 of them, maybe Snapchat and TikTok. That's all he deals with. Because he has no buying power. I'll make sure of that. So then that moves us in.
Bill, if you don't mind, I'll chime in. One thing that I would recommend too is don't be so quick to invest your money into these new platforms. For example, the new one coming out right now, if you're unfamiliar, is Threads. It's the Facebook version of Twitter. It's okay to sit and wait and see how this develops because there's no point in investing money, in my opinion, into a platform that isn't established yet because even though the platform's out there, how many people are actively following it? And again, then at that point, you're just investing money into something where eyes are not accustomed to going. So if you're going to invest in digital marketing, make sure that it's a platform that has an established following of people. Now, with that being said, jump on these trains early with organic content, something you're not necessarily paying for, but you can kind of set the tone for your business on the ground level of these places. And as people sign up for Threads, as followers and things like that jump on Threads and they see it, you're already there with content pre-established. It's going to pop up as, here's a good recommended business for you to follow, and you're going to jump in from the ground level. So it's not to say sit back and don't do anything with new platforms. Just be careful where you invest your money would be my opinion.
It makes sense. Yeah, I like that. So I own let's say I own a small business. I recognize that marketing is geared now to the digital age, not so much in the old way of thinking in radio ad, print ad, billboard ad, that kind of thing. And so I recognize I need a following. I want to translate that following into sales, right? So I can grow my business. So my question is how do I grow a following? Because like me, I think, well, I'll just do more posts. That gets me more following, right? And then, as you just mentioned and described earlier, well, no, that could have a negative effect because I could just get sick of looking at your face and get rid of you completely. And so, look, I guess the question I have is how do I use social media and the marketing of social media to gain a following? Like Nate grew from, one Facebook account to 40 Facebook accounts or digital media accounts, and now he's got 300 and 400,000 followers, and you the same way, growing at an astronomical rate. The question I suppose I want to know, maybe we all want to know, is, so I own a small business, I want to gain a following, how do I do that?
I think this plays in well to the conversation that Jarrod and I were having earlier about really a transition in how this is happening. And a move away from investing in paid advertisement to grow that following, and a move towards investing in high quality organic content to gain that following. I have been consuming the videos that Jarrod puts out like crazy. Like his videos, with me being a local person, are filling up my feed right now. And it's businesses using that money to invest in high quality organic content that he's helping them put out that is catching my attention, and not just some money thrown towards a Facebook ad that at this point I just want to scroll past because so many of my things in my feed are advertisements.
And you need to be careful about this though, because like Nate was saying a minute ago, you don't want to oversaturate your friends and family with a billion videos of your business. Here's the catch to all of this. The same principles of business still apply. You need to have a great product or service. And you may think that it's great, but it needs to be exceptional. And I think if I could recommend to anybody to double down on that, I would say before you spend any ad money on hiring somebody or doing anything like that, do the organic route and make sure that your product or service is absolutely incredible, so that whenever your friends and family or your circle that it goes out to initially organically, that's what organic, that friends and family circle that you're already networked with, when it goes out to them, they go, oh, I didn't realize that they were doing this. They have the best bagels. They have the best, the lowest prices on feed. These are the people. These are the folks that we want to work with. So initially, make sure that's amazing. If that's amazing, then it naturally, through organic stuff, when they see you in high quality is relative, guys. The things in our pockets are more than enough with the right lighting. You can talk to the video guys in the back, and that we'll all have to confess it sooner or later. They're pretty exceptional. You can get into it. But if you're there, your product, your service is amazing, high quality, exceptional, and you go to share that in these formats, it should catch like wildfire, like this. Like when we see our friends and family, our locals, going, oh, I recognize, she's referring to one of the Lingoville Country Store videos, which is a local business. I recognize Lance. He makes the best coffee. I'm sharing it because everybody, all my friends and family need to know how great his coffee is. That's what you want.
I would say, obviously, quality of the product, like Jarrod said, is key. But consistency in the quality of your content is going to help you grow followers. The more, as you put things out, make sure that it's the highest quality you can possibly produce. Because when your followers start to see that the quality of the content that you're putting out is exceptional, they're going to build trust with you. They're going to trust that you have intentionality and that you know what you want to accomplish through your branding, through your marketing, through your business. And through that consistency, you will start to build trust with your consumers, and that trust will turn into a following. And from that organic following, it will then turn into them sharing it, because as a small business, your service, the connection you make with your customers is key. Whereas, the bigger organizations, maybe they're not going to take time to read every email or every direct message that their customer sends. Small business owners probably do, because they want to make those connections. So as you build that trust with your branding, your consistency, it's going to translate. And your customers are going to then share it and tell their friends that, hey, you can trust this company. They're high quality in everything that they do, and it's going to grow and build organically that way. We did that in athletics. When we started with the one account, it would have been very easy to say from the jump, okay, we're going to have a different account for every sport we have. At the time was 16 sports. We intentionally pulled those back and told we told our coaches, we need to build this trust first. And we filtered everything through Tarleton Sports. So for 2 or 3 years, everything we did went through one account. We built that trust that when you see something from Tarleton Sports, you can take it to the bank. It's there, it's high quality. We focused all of our attention to putting the quality on that channel. And then as we grew, and we grew into Division I, that's when we started expanding the teams, the football team, the women's basketball team. That's how we grew the channels. Then we used the trust that we built at Tarleton Sports to share the message from the other sports. We used the following we created from one account to build the following for the other accounts. And that also allowed our money to be intentional, right? When we did need to market something, or when we were branding it out in the public for, hey, follow us. We wanted you to follow at Tarleton Sports, one channel. And then from there, you can find all of the other channels that our customers wanted to see and follow. So I think being intentional and having that intentionality with your content will help grow your following.
Yeah, it's taking that second to say, is this content going to help me build my brand?
Yeah.
And if you'll take a second to have that thought and look at that content from that perspective, it'll help you to generate good content that is going to help you accomplish that goal.
It's odd, we don't think of this as there being a relationship between the content creator and the content consumer. At least I don't. When I'm scrolling on Facebook, I don't think of it as a relationship, but it really is, right? I mean, you were just mentioning that before, that you built this trust. Well, that relationship was built on trust, so the key word being relationship. So you built a relationship with the Tarleton Sports followers, and then from there branched out into other things. And I think that's interesting, because I don't know that I think of it that way. Does that? Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is built upon, in our world, it would be called a value add. So we want to make sure that we are constantly bringing value to that relationship, and it levels out in something that what we're referring to here is trust. And so if we constantly bring as high quality content that we can to the table, then when people see it, they will respect that and say, you put effort, time, you crafted this thing together, it represents the brand well, and they receive that value, then there is a sense of trust that's been developed. Which, and not to go back on the question here too far, but I want to iterate here that you don't have to be perfect, though. We're talking about marketing at a very high level and making sure all your T's are crossed, all your I's are dotted. But something out there, when you come across, there's something in our psyche, when you come across a product that is good and well crafted online, there is a sense of trust. And if you can do it at the best of your ability, you don't necessarily have to have a marketing team, because we're small businesses here. Start putting something of value out there and see what comes back.
Excellent. So we are going to have time for some questions in a minute, but I have one last topic I wanted to go through, and that is that, advice for all of us here. I'm a small business owner. I'm a hopeful small business owner. I don't have much of a budget, or the company I work for doesn't have a lot of budget for social media. What kind of advice do you give to us to say, hey, look, you can do this. This is something that you can do. Here's some pitfalls to avoid, but more importantly, here's some advice for you to moving forward to creating your own content brand, if you will. What advice would you give me?
I'll start. We'll work back down to Bill. I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give is don't engage in your social media comments, replies, when you're angry. Right? Take some time, breathe, collect yourselves.
And you get in a Twitter war with somebody?
Yeah, no Twitter wars. The Facebook comment section on particular posts are not great. Now, that's not to say do not connect to your customers, but just take a step back, have a breath, and do it in as professional a way as possible. And always remember that just because you delete something screenshots happen. That would be the advice that I have.
My advice is going to be speaking from the situation that I find myself in sometimes, and that's that I wear a lot of hats because I'm the main person at my marketing business with a little bit of part-time help, and I have to remember to be intentional with that digital marketing because it's so easy to just kind of let it fall to the wayside and not stay on top of it. Don't go look at my Facebook page right now to see when the last time was that I posted, because I get so caught up in taking care of my clients and my customers that I don't always take care of my own business. And it's so easy to do that. So just be intentional in scheduling the time to go in and, I'm going to write all my content for the week, and I'm going to get it scheduled, and I'm going to get it out there so it doesn't, it's not Friday afternoon and you think, dang it, I didn't post anything this week. Because I've found myself in that trap, and just making the time to be intentional about that.
I'm going to answer this dually here. That's good. Be careful whenever you are posting. Going back to the core of business, all this marketing does on social media is it amplifies any problems that you may have or any hangups. So be aware of those, trying to iron those out beforehand. The second part is, if I was to give some advice, this is going to cost you something. It doesn't just magically happen. You don't automatically have a following online and people who trust you. You're going to need to either time or money invest in this thing. Mine was time. I put in years because when Grandma figured it out, I'm like, well, I'm in now, I did not want to be on social media at all. You're not going to find me there. I don't know that I trust it. Well, I lost that war. Grandma won. We're in. So we're going to have to navigate that through time, figuring out the systems, figuring out how to post, when to post, all the things, where to post, what works, what doesn't, or money. And part of that is you can accelerate your own learning through trying ads, boosting posts, those types of things, or you hire out. But it's going to cost something, and I would recommend, because we're in the marketing world, man. The sooner the better. Well, I just believe in it. I believe in it. If you put money behind it, if you put your effort behind it, it magnifies. It just absolutely magnifies your brand. And if you have a good one, especially us rural, local folks, your story matters. Amplify that thing to 1 million. If you have a great product or service, let's scream it out to the world somehow. Tastefully, of course.
Okay, so any questions for the panel at all? Anybody have anything they'd like to ask? Yes, sir. Here's a mic coming.
Bill, touching on what you said, I think earlier at the beginning of this panel, that some people still look at social media as a nuisance. So this question is really for Laura and Jarrod. Number one, how do you market yourselves, your services? Number two, how do you reach business owners who still think we need to be marketing on the television or newspapers? And then how do you reach them and say, hey, you need this expertise because, even though you might think it's a nuisance, even though you might think this is kind of an organic learning process for younger people, you need the expertise that we have. How do you manage that?
For me, natively, I'm letting people know I'm making content and I'm posting it online. The videos that I make for other businesses, they're posting that stuff online. They're following, ask them, where'd those come from, that type of organic thing. But in speaking with people, I would say, we're in an area where if you drive by Borges Media sign and it's displaying all the stuff, everybody wants to be up on the sign, get on the sign. It doesn't have to just be, the social media world. But that's kind of what I'm doing is making those videos, marketing to them. If they don't believe in my services, then I have not done a good enough job in showing what is possible and what can be done. Or they're not my target audience, because my target audience knows that this thing works and it rolls, and I've shown it and I've proven it to them. And again, I'm sure she's going to say the same thing, but testimonials, just testimonials and a half, testimonials.
I've been well established in the area for about 8 years now, and a lot of my business in this area and my ability to grow my business has been longevity of being here. that came from word of mouth and helping to establish that, but also just my ability to keep my operation small. When you call the phone number, you talk to me. When you send an email, I'm the one that answers it. When you message the Facebook page, I'm the one that you deal with. And my ability to be consistent and to scale my business to where I'm the one you deal with, and every time you call, you don't get a different account manager because that person was only there for 3 months. Like it's my ability to provide that personalized service that you can come to my office, that you can meet with me in person. I'll come meet you with you at your business or meet you at the coffee shop. My ability to provide that face with a name and personalized service has been a lot of what's helped me grow that, and marketing that through my social media channels, and that I'm the person that you deal with. I'm the face behind the name. That my business is named the way it is for a reason, has really helped me to get established and to grow that.
Go ahead, one more question, sure.
You mentioned Threads, and that made me realize, oh my goodness, I thought I was on top of social media, but clearly I need to hire somebody, which is probably going to be the first answer to this question. But how does somebody who maybe went to high school when there was no thing called internet keep on top of the new social media platforms so we can get involved and start building that organic content and position our businesses as the leader in these new platforms? I mean, how do we even find out where they are, what's coming on the plate?
Well, obviously from Tarleton's perspective, we have social media managers that are much younger than me that tell me about all of these new upcoming things. I just learned about Threads 2 weeks ago myself. So, but I would say Facebook groups are a good way to do that. I'm actually a part of several. So there are some that's what happens is it kind of, the people around the country that are doing the same thing we are, they join these Facebook groups and they talk about these things. Hey, how are you, professionals that want to grow together, professional development, things like that. Hey, how are you handling Threads, for example? Hey, have you seen this new feature that Facebook has? That would be a good starting point. And then obviously taking advantage of maybe your personal connections. If you have, family members who are really into it, I learn a lot from my own personal family functions when I go, because I've got nieces and nephews that are telling me all about this cool stuff, and then I come back to talk to people that know about it. And I think just having that openness, that open-mindedness to learn about new things and not close yourself off and say, these are working, this is what we're going to do, and that's it. We're not going to consider it. So I hope that answered your question, but I'll pass it off.
I think to be a successful creator of content, unfortunately, you have to spend some time being a consumer of content as well. And I know, I know. And so really in looking at how to be successful on a platform, you gotta have to be a consumer of that platform too. But in consuming those platforms, you learn about that growth and those new things, and new trends and what's coming up too.
Yeah, and a quick cheat for that is find the kids, see what they're into. Find if you're at a church, go to the youth group, figure out what they're into. They will tell you, because it's whatever app that they don't want to tell you about, and that's the one. And then let it sit, as Nate said, for a while. Let it sit and just kind of keep your ear to the ground and see what happens there. You can hop over there and do some stuff organically, kind of see how it works. They all basically work the same way. You're not going to like it. Nobody likes the new app. It's terrible. It doesn't function like all the other ones do. It's trying to steal your information, whatever. But you're going to want to hop on, check it out. If it fits for you, you can figure out it sticks, then that's the one you start pushing your chips towards.
Okay, I think that, I believe that wraps up this session. Thank you so much for participating, you guys. And again, thanks for coming. Stop by over there and say hello to Jarvis, and thanks for coming here. So thank you guys so much.